Today, we're sinking our teeth into a sultry, steamy, and straight up unhinged world of True Blood. We're throwing it back to 2008. Vampires are sexy, Southern accents are questionable, and we're about to revisit Sookie Stackhouse's very first encounter with the brooding, yet charming, Bill Compton. That's right. We're talking about the pilot episode that introduced us to a town where humans, vampires, and the supernatural coexist. Kind of. While indulging in some truly wild small town drama. So, grab your synthetic blood, hide your necks, and let's dive into this swampy, supernatural roller coaster of True Blood.
Also, while we're only going to be reviewing the first episode of True Blood, we will be discussing things that happen in the subsequent seasons. So please, consider this your spoiler warning. Hello.
Howdy, ma'am.
And welcome to Once More Unhinged, our weekly chat show where we get together to discuss whatever we're reading, watching, listening to, or engaging with this week. I'm Sookie Stackhouse.
I do declare I'm Ryan something.
How's it going?
Nice to meet you. Sookie.
Hey, guys.
We're back.
We're back again.
And it is still spooky season.
'Tis indeed.
What does that mean, Jenny?
That means we get to indulge in our love of vampires.
Indulge is the perfect word.
And we decided to cover one of our favorite shows, the show that we, kind of formed our initial friendship on. And that's True Blood that came out in 2008.
True Blood. I remember the first night I ever watched True Blood.
Okay, let us know.
I was looking for something to put on the TV as I was getting myself kind of ready for bed.
Yeah.
Man, 2008?
Yeah, September 7th, 2008.
So, okay. I was getting myself ready for bed. I was looking for something to like kind of put on and just relax.
Yeah.
And this show was on HBO.
Yeah.
I did not anticipate it.
You didn't know what it was.
I had no clue what it was, and it was the pilot. It was airing. I just happened to be Sunday night, and it was just coming on.
I love that.
And I was hooked.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Went to school in Baton Rouge, lived in South Central Louisiana for close to 10 years, and I immediately picked up on this vibe.
Yeah.
Like, this was it. So this reminded me of places, Merlot's reminded me of places that I'd been. So I was hooked on this show. And it had vampires, and they were all just very charming and good looking, like the entire cast.
Oh, yeah.
It was, I mean, no notes.
Yeah.
It was a perfect pilot.
It's a great show. We just watched it, and we came immediately to record, so it's still very fresh. Yeah. And I remember I didn't see it until 2011 when I had moved here where we all live. And my husband and his brother really liked this show. And I had not seen any of it. And so this was 2011. So yeah, I guess maybe the third season was out. I could look it up. I can't remember. But I watched one episode and I was like, what is this? Yeah. I loved it. I got the first couple seasons on Netflix DVDs when they used to mail you the DVDs. Yeah. And I blew through it. I was at my apartment, just hooked, locked in. I loved this show. I still love it. I mean, we were watching this first episode laughing, getting into it, remembering things. And I just like you said, I think it's a great pilot episode.
It was groundbreaking. It was fresh. It was something new. And
it's grounded in a real place and not so much like we talked about Interview with the Vampire recently. Go watch that episode if you haven't already.
Please.
And that's it's connected to New Orleans, but this is like it's small town Louisiana. These aren't, the upper echelon of any kind of society necessarily. They feel like real people.
It was also a refreshing take on the whole vampire universe and how it relates to, as they mention in here, like vampires coming out of the coffin.
Right.
Like what happens if vampires went mainstream?
Yeah.
What if they lived among us as, people who could just come out and go to the bar and go to the restaurant and, not be looked at as these, demon type beings and murderers. And it's really fun to play with the vampire of it all.
It is.
What that means. And we find out later throughout the rest of this season and series there's other supernatural elements happening here.
Mhm.
And this is just such a perfect setting for that,
It
because
is.
Louisiana and the South is just very supernatural in its
And
feel.
sultry, and you know, it's
Yeah.
hot, and
We've
it's
talked about this on our episode for Interview with the Vampire, just how New Orleans just has that feel.
it does.
You know, there are spirits, there's an energy that you cannot deny.
Right.
And man, they really nail it with this
They sure
right
do.
out of the box too. I mean, we
Yeah.
get the intro. We get this cold open where, you know, there's these
College kids.
it's already hot and sexy, which is also what sold me on
Yeah.
this show. It was just very thirsty.
It was. And it feels, when you're watching
Yeah.
it now in 2024, you're like, this is so 2008. Just the styling,
Oh,
the
yeah.
everything. It's great.
So we've got, you know, the chick driving down the road. She's bored, so she's decided that she's just going to give her passenger boyfriend an HJ,
which is not
And
safe. If you're listening at
totally not
home,
safe.
if you're driving, you should not be giving HJs. Receiving them, questionable.
I mean, impressive, but
Yeah.
also, you know, maybe not at late at night when it's foggy.
It's dark and
you're
you've been
dark and
drinking.
you've
They
been
admit
drinking.
earlier or later on,
Yeah.
they say, we're just drunk.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. Be safe.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Don't
Be
want to
safe.
yuck anyone's yum.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, and then we get the cold open of the music, you know, so these two end up, you know, meeting a vampire.
Yeah, they stop at the Grab It Quick. And
Yeah, so they stop at the Grab It Quick. Go
yeah,
ahead.
and when we talked about this show does a great job right out the gate of explaining what's happening in this world.
They go straight to a television set,
Yes.
and it's Bill Maher interviewing
Nan Flanagan.
Nan, who we'll see later.
She's like the president of Vampire Relations or something.
The Vampire League.
Yes,
which
yeah.
is, you know, basically, you know, kind of like this NAACP for vampires.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're having this thoughtful dialogue and conversation about vampires becoming mainstream and being more public. And,
Yeah.
you know, the invention, I guess, of True Blood, which is a synthetic blood that the Japanese have, you know, developed
Yep.
that allows vampires to be able to crack open a cold one.
Without having to take it directly from the source.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why those kids stop. They see a sign in front of this Grab It Quick that says True Blood sold here. And again, it's just so quick when we get the Nan Flanagan interview. We see the sign for True Blood.
Yeah.
And then we see the kids asking the store clerk, who's like very gothy and kind of like your typical vampire looking guy.
Could be a vampire.
Right. And it turns out he's not. He plays a joke on them. And they're like, hey, you got any V juice? And they talk about how people use vampire blood as a drug in this world.
Right.
She's like, what did she say? My sorority sister, whatever did. She clawed her face off.
Yeah.
Like,
It's kind of like what's the GHB? You know,
I have no idea what that is.
Yeah. So it's kind of like this, you know, hallucinogenic drug that makes you feel really good. You know, they talk about it being, you know, great for your sex life.
Oh yeah.
You
Makes you feel
like,
healthier.
it makes you feel healthier. Makes you feel horny.
Yeah.
And anyway, there's a gentleman who's in the shop who looks like a Bubba.
Yeah.
You know, just a good old boy. And he's wearing his camouflage shirt and his ball cap. And he's standing in front of the cooler, which you think he's probably going to get a 6-pack of beer.
But he does not.
He's not. He's standing behind him with a 6-pack of True Blood.
Yeah. And like you said, he's got the camo hat, the suspenders, the camo shirt. I think he even has a Confederate flag on his hat, which, you know. Oh, yeah. But he picks up a 6-pack of True Blood.
Yeah. Anyway, he gives them a fright and the kids go running off and he threatens the store clerk. And then, you know, he gives us a little kind of a smile, you know, kind of breaks the fourth wall. And then we're straight into this brilliant introduction of Bad Things by Jay Severett.
It's one of my favorite to this date opening themes of a show. You've got the imagery.
It hooks you. Yeah.
The song is amazing. If you have not ever listened to Bad Things by Jay Severett, run, don't walk. But it's a juxtaposition of the South and there's images of women praying as they're crying in like one of those churches where people probably are like talking in tongues and they're having very intense religious experiences.
Kind of gives you hoodoo, you know, vibes.
And then you see like naked women writhing around, people dancing at a bar, playing pool, dead animals.
It's really setting the scene.
It's so good. And I think this pilot is almost a masterclass in world building for a short amount of time.
I love it.
I love it too. And we have the opening theme and then we go into Merlotte's bar.
We go straight to Merlotte's. And this is just a classic setting. They did such a great job at the cinematography of, you know, really framing this bar in the backwoods of Louisiana.
Yep.
I have been to bars exactly like this.
Yeah.
If this bar was not modeled after the Alligator Bar on Bayou Manchac off of Alligator Bayou Road in Prairieville, Louisiana,
Oh, wow.
where I went multiple times,
Yeah.
then I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But it is identical to the type of bar that you would see in these small towns in St. Francisville and Houma and Breaux Bridge, south of I-10 and in Lafayette. There is a vibe.
Yeah.
And it's there, and they capture it so well.
They really do. I mean,
the interior.
The interior is great. I'd love to know if they built this set or they filmed it in an actual bar, because it looks like a bar.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we meet, the main character, Sookie Stackhouse, played by Anna Paquin, who I just adore. And she's a waitress at Merlot. Her blonde ponytail.
Iconic look.
She's so great. And
she's in a little waitress outfit.
I want one of those shirts, the white Merlot shirts.
I thought you had one. I swore.
You have a Merlot's t-shirt.
I do. And I have a Bon Temps shirt.
The Bon Temps Eagles shirt is that one is the one you wore that Halloween that we spent about an hour just talking about True Blood.
That was it.
So we meet Sookie, and we learn immediately she's a telepath. She can hear people's thoughts.
Yeah. How cool is that?
I think I would hate it.
Yeah.
I would love it if I could control it, but she can't. So you're just wandering around the world hearing everybody's thoughts. It would drive you insane.
Yeah, I think she can control some of it. There's a moment where she does tune everyone out.
She does, but I mean, I think she has to work at it. And I've read the books. You have not read the books, so
I've not.
Just a little background. True Blood was based off of a series of books written by Charlene Harris, known as the Southern Vampire Mystery Books. They're super cute. I recommend doing Audible. The narrator's phenomenal. They're fun. In the books, it's Sookie has to work really, really hard to tune people out. Like it drains her energy.
Sure.
Yeah.
I can understand. It drains my energy to have to tune people out too. I can't even imagine having to hear it in my head.
Ugh. Yeah. So she's busting her butt, serving tables, hearing all these thoughts, which some are really gross. Some are just run of the mill. Some are kind of sad that one guy's like, please let me only have one beer tonight, Jesus.
Sure. Well, I mean, you can imagine being in a restaurant full of people, what all the different thoughts are going to be. You're going to get the creepos who are like, and then, you got the other guy struggling with, his addiction.
Ugh. And then we cut to another person who's a main character, Tara, played by Rutina Wesley. She is amazing.
We get all the character introductions.
I love it.
I miss them. I miss this world so much.
I do too. That's what I was thinking watching it.
We're going to have to carve time where we watch the rest of the season.
I'm in. I love it. And Tara is working at the Super Save a Bunch.
Not for long.
We learn about everyone so quickly.
And so well written. She comes right out of the box. I mean, a lot of times when you get these pilot episodes, you're looking at the rough draft of a character. It feels like in television.
Yeah.
All of these actors come straight out of the box in their character.
It's so good.
Full out.
Yes.
And she does. She's immediately got her attitude.
Yeah. She has no time for this woman asking for, I don't know, tarps or whatever.
She has zero time for anything.
She does. And I love it.
Zero patience.
And we get a little glimpse into maybe why, later on when she makes the comment to Sam, I was mixing whiskey sours for my mama in first grade. And Sam says, that is deeply fucked up.
Yeah.
So
what's the line that Tara gives the lady after she tells her off? And she's like, oh, well, you're being real aggressive or mean or something. She's like, lady, this is uppity.
Yeah, this is uppity. She slaps her manager.
The manager Waylon.
She's that's for patting my ass too much.
Yeah. Good for you.
I love Tara.
Walk away.
Love Tara. And then we go back to Merlot's where we meet Arlene. We meet some of our other, supporting cast characters. Arlene, played by Carrie Preston.
So great.
The red hair,
hair. The mom attitude.
She's the mom. I got kids.
But she's a working mom. She's slinging plates.
She's so good. And again, we meet Sam Merlot, who owns the bar, played by Sam Trammell.
Handsome small town guy in a flannel shirt. Watch out.
No notes.
Watch out.
No notes, folks. And
straight out of a Lifetime movie, but in the South.
Yeah. And we also meet one of my favorite characters from this whole show, Lafayette.
Lafayette is my absolute favorite character in this whole show.
Played by Nelson Ellis. May his memory be a blessing.
Yes.
Such a brilliant actor and lost way too soon.
Gone before he should have been gone.
Yeah.
But what a powerful performance and, an absolute wonderful role that he leaves behind.
Yeah.
His legacy is here on film for a while. So that's really cool.
It is.
He did a great job.
He did a great job. We meet Lafayette, who is a flamboyant gay man working in this small town bar.
Oh, yeah.
Arlene's the mom with her, like, she's that small town Southern mom who, like, thinks she's maybe still, I mean, she's still hot. I'm not saying Carrie Preston's hot, but there's that energy of, like, I still got it. You know what I mean? Like,
she does. And I'm here for that.
Does. I'm just
Yeah,
saying that
own
is
it.
a woman we all know. If you grew up in a small town,
Oh, yeah.
you know that woman.
I know moms like that.
Am I one?
I'm not going to name any names.
Why'd you look at me when you said that?
I'm not going to name any names, but I know some fun moms that used to have a really good time.
I still have a good time.
Exactly.
If it's before 9:30.
I think she does too when she's not working.
I love her. I love Carrie
she's
Preston.
having fun when she's at work.
Yeah.
Not every night, as we'll find out. But yeah.
And we also learn that Sam is in love with Sookie.
Yes, it's mentioned by Tara.
Yeah.
That Sam, Sam's in love with you.
Yeah.
She's like, I can't think about that.
He's my boss.
Anyway, they're setting the framework up.
Yes,
like they're giving us all these backstories, and they're putting it all out there. It's the character introductions, and I'm here for all of it.
And speaking of the next character introduction, we get is Jason Stackhouse, played by Ryan Quanten.
And I love that his character introduction.
Oh my God.
Just fitting for him.
He's going down on a woman.
Yes, he's performing cunnilingus, and he's naked on his knees.
Respectfully.
Woo. We get a full profile shot.
Woo. Ryan Quanten, hot. Yeah. Respectfully. I think you're great.
Hold on a second. I've got to set a gym appointment reminder.
Yeah, I was like, Ryan Quanten, his body is so, I mean, he's in such good shape, but I feel like almost everyone of this cast
in this cast
hadn't even looked at gluten for years.
I'm telling you, watching this pilot makes me want to get to the gym.
I need to go lift weights. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we meet Jason, who's, as you said, in the middle of an intimate moment with a character named Maudette Pickens.
Maudette.
And right off the bat, we get Jason's that guy who was hot shit in high school.
Still is in his.
He's still hot shit, but like still living in a small town. He's the big fish in the small pond.
Sure, he's the quarterback.
To quote Sabrina Carpenter, not the sharpest tool in the shed.
Yes. I love that you went there.
He's so hot. Ryan Quanten does such a good job because as we noticed when we were watching, you can see the hamster wheel.
See the hamster wheel turning.
But it's going so slow.
Yeah, he plays it so well.
He's great.
So good.
And the woman
bless his heart.
Yeah. The woman he's being intimate with, he notices fang marks on her inner thigh.
Yeah, he doesn't really know how to react to that. It's his first fang mark.
Yeah. And she informs him that she was paid $1,000 by a vampire at a vamp bar in Shreveport.
Dun, dun, dun.
What could that be?
I don't know.
It's Fantasia, folks. Oh, I'm so bummed that we're only doing this episode because there's no Eric Northman in it. And Eric Northman, I used to walk around saying, "Ravage me, Eric Northman," to anyone who would listen.
And now to the world.
My mom's so proud of me. Okay, so
Mr. Skarsgård, if you're listening,
we learned that she was paid, and so again, we're setting up the world in this universe.
Yeah,
there are men and women who like to be bitten, and they can get paid for it, and they don't get killed. It's a sexual thing. It's a money thing. It's a blood. It's consensual. It's consensual. Yeah, very interesting.
I love it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, and
Jason, I think, is a little taken back.
He's clutching his pearls.
I don't know if I'd want to be with a fang banger. Is what they call him.
We get the fang bang. I love that. Oh my God.
And she's like, "Hey, listen, I'm not, a sex worker." She's like, "But when someone offers you $1,000 and all they want to do is like bite you," she's like, "I'm in." She's like, "I like it rough."
Oh, she does say that. And then she taped it. She's like, "I taped it."
He's like, "I taped it. Do you want to see?" And he's like, he's curious because he's Jason and he's, just a very sexual human being. So they watch it and it's kind of turning him on.
He enjoys it. I started laughing just because of the vampire. He's bald. And
the vampire of it all is really kind of cheesy.
But they show that in the middle of them having sex, it's like, the speed's cranked up. It's like he's going super fast.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just kind of like a refreshing take of, hey, try something different. And Jason's like, I'm in. I kind of like this rough stuff.
Yeah. Which is not going to be good for him later on, but
they have a good time and good for them.
Good for them. Next, we meet Mr. William Compton,
We do.
Vampire Bill.
Vampire Bill walks into Merlot's for the first time. He's the first vampire customer at Merlot's.
He is.
And, we get this sense from Sookie that she's very excited to meet her first vampire in Bon Temps.
Very excited. And everyone else is kind of like,
everyone else is a little weary because they're a small town and they're probably bigoted in one way or another. And this one happens to be a bit bigoted toward vampires right now.
Right.
But they're new. They don't really know them. And I love just kind of the parallels.
I do too.
This could be, someone who's gay in a small town in the South. This could be someone who is, of color or whatever it may be, of a disability of some sort. So, you get these reactions from people that are real.
Yeah.
You get these questions of, of prejudice, of, how do I feel about this? Should I be afraid of this person? Should I not?
Yeah.
And I love the parallel of this entire universe trying to tell that story. I think it's most relatable to the queer community.
I think so too. I mean, the phrase coming out of the closet is
of
the
the
same.
coffin.
I'm sorry. Yes. Coming out of the coffin, coming out of the closet.
Yeah.
It's, and this was 2008. Had the Marriage Equality Act been passed yet?
I think it was pretty close. I mean, this was 2008 when that Obama's first year of being elected.
It's such a social commentary on, like you're saying, how we treat people. And especially in 2008, we had Barack Obama as president, which was hope. A lot of people were not stoked on, unfortunately.
A lot of people in the South were not.
Right. And the issue of whether same-sex couples had the right to marry was, I feel like, at the forefront of a lot of conversations politically. Yeah. And so you have this show come out and they're pushing on that. And I think it was great.
Set in the South too.
The deep South.
The deep South.
Yeah.
Which I think it's great. We get these vampires who are, the first vampire we see is just kind of this redneck Bubba wearing camouflage. It's like, hey, you can be vampire and you can be from the South too. Both these things can coexist at once. You can be a Bubba and you can also
like a Bubba
suck blood. Yeah.
Well, he does. And when Bubba says to that kid, he's like, I think the teenagers, like, fuck you. And he says, oh, I'll fuck you. And then I'll eat you.
I'll eat you. Yeah.
This show is very, very groundbreaking in 2008, but to watch it again in 2024, it's also like, wow, it's still
relevant.
It's still relevant.
In some ways, many of these states have rolled back a lot of those, freedoms and restrictions. And
it's super cool.
Yeah.
Love that for us. Exactly. So we, like you said, Sookie's so stoked. She's like ready to go talk to Bill. She's going to take his order.
She's feeling good.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, we don't have any True Blood. Sam ordered some, but it went bad. And, she mentions, I do know that Sam's a supporter of the Vampire Rights Amendment.
That's right.
Which is also hitting the nail on the head about, same-sex marriage, gay rights. And then we also see the character, we met these people earlier, but the rat trays take an interest in Bill.
Sure. They're just kind of like your local pushers who, are
they're drug dealers.
They're itching for their next fix and how they can get money to make that happen.
Yeah. And Sookie can hear them thinking about what they're going to do. Like, oh, we can sell his blood in Dallas for $10,000, blah, blah, blah. She tries to get Sam and Tara to help. We got to save him. We can't let this happen. And they're kind of like,
Sam's got good advice. Sam says, hey, he's a vampire. He can take care of himself.
Which is fair.
Which is good advice.
And we will learn later on he could have. Bill set this up.
Yeah.
And Tara's like, are you fucking crazy? No.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, so you have the kind of the parallel of the, being discriminated against for one reason or another, but you also have, it's vampires. So you also know that they're probably got superhuman strength and they have these abilities that
they can kill people
that other groups don't have.
Right.
So in their defense and Tara and Sam's defense, they're like, hey, no, you just met this person. You don't know what his motives are. He can take care of himself and, don't get involved. You got a job to do. Just work.
Their advice was right. Because later on we see what happens. And I do think, like, when we get to that scene with Sam where he yells at Sookie, he's so out of pocket. But what he does say in that scene also is true. He's like, you can't go run. You call the police. You don't go running after somebody like a goddamn vigilante.
Sure.
So anyway.
But, it's in Sookie's nature
She's a helper.
She's a helper.
She's an empath. Like, she cares a lot about people.
Sure.
She has a strong sense of moral right and wrong.
Yeah.
So Sookie decides to hell with y'all. She's going to go out and save Vampire Bill.
Yeah.
She goes in the woods and she finds him. The Rattrays have chained him up with silver. So again, world building. These vampires can be burned by silver. And she throws a chain at the guy and it wraps around his neck. And it's kind of weird. It does it by itself.
Yeah.
And we learn later on it's because she's a fairy.
Spoiler alert.
Sookie dispatches the Rattrays.
That's right.
Helps Bill, and they have a moment, and we learn that Sookie cannot hear Bill's thoughts. She can't hear vampires.
She cannot.
Nope.
And there's this beautiful little canine that comes snooping around, just checking in on the situation, see how things are going.
Like a little sheepdog.
Gives Sookie a little lick. It's kind of like a Sheltie or something. Gives Sookie a little lick on the face.
I hate it. I think he's a border collie in the books.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
That's what this. Yeah, maybe it's a border collie.
Yeah.
Anyway, we find out later that's Sam Merlot because he's a shifter.
I watching it now. I'm like, Sam, if you have not listened to our Once More a Rewatch podcast, we talk a lot about Xander Harris because we're reviewing Buffy. This is a Xander move if I've ever seen one.
He's got Xander characteristics.
And I hate it because I love Sam Merlot as we go forward, but
he's a
little problematic.
He's a little problematic. He is the frustrated friend in the friend zone.
Yeah.
And he doesn't like it.
He's not respectful of Sookie's boundaries.
He is not respectful of Sookie's boundaries.
Yeah. So Bill asks a very interesting question, what are you?
Yeah.
I'm a waitress.
Yeah.
I love this show.
Yeah. But he knows that there's something more to her.
He knows.
His little vampire senses are kicking in. I think he even knows that Sam is.
He knows Sam's a shifter.
The dog is not. I think he knows that the dog is Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He knows, and then that's the brilliant part later on, which the last bit of the True Blood gets very squirrely.
Yeah.
They make some choices. I could barely get through the last season with Billith. I could barely get through it.
I could barely get through season 3. And that was
with the werewolves?
Listen,
I'm
not saying I didn't love it, but things really started shifting.
I see what you did there. We later find out that Bill, he knows who Sookie is. He's been sent by the Vampire Queen of Louisiana. It's been a con from the start, but we're not there yet.
Vampire Queen, huh?
Mm-hmm. Played by Evan Rachel Wood. I can't remember what her character name is, but yeah, she's great. Okay. So we go back into Merlot's and we see that Tara is now been hired to bartend, or she basically forces Sam to give her a job bartending. Oh, wait, no, that's later.
Yeah, no. Well, Sam has stepped out to look for Sookie, aka shipped into the dog.
Yeah.
And as he steps out, he passes the apron to Tara and says, "Get behind the bar." And she's like, "Okay." She gives him some sass and he's like,
Tough shit. Well,
and she does. She jumps behind the bar.
And that's where we get the line, "I was mixing whiskey sours." I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But another character development we see is that Tara has a crush on Jason Stackhouse.
Yeah. So has Jason come back at this point?
He's come back at this point.
So he's come to the bar
wearing a tight fitting Leonard Skinner t-shirt, tight fitting jeans. Yes. He looks so good.
He's definitely wearing a schmedium.
Just absolutely a
that
schmedium.
Is a schmedium.
And he can't really be bothered with Tara. She's like, "Hey, I've been your sister's best friend since kindergarten. Stay at your house all the time." And he's like, He's all like mopey. And then he sees the other waitress, Dawn, and he's like, "Oh, hey, baby." Yeah.
Tell you what.
She's hot too. Everybody on this show is hot.
That first interaction exchange with her, with Dawn, with Sookie, with Lafayette. And the redhead.
Yeah, Arlene.
With Arlene, when they're going back and forth, and he's like, "Oh, you want a little chocolate?" Yeah. And man, she walks down that little expo line and she turns around and gives a little.
She smacks her butt. Yeah. So great.
Woof.
Woo. I'm telling you.
This show is thirsty.
It is.
And hot and steamy.
I love that whole exchange because, Lafayette is so good, but he tells Arlene, basically she says, "Not everybody wants to fuck you." And he's, "Oh, you'd be surprised."
You'd be surprised at the names that
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this feels like a real place. It
Feels
feels
like
these
a real
people
interaction.
know each other.
Front
Yes.
of the house, back of the house.
Yes.
Upstairs, downstairs. It's that dynamic.
If you've ever worked in the service industry,
this is it.
That's how you would speak to each other.
Sure.
And God, just Nelson Ellis was so good.
He nailed it.
Yeah.
I have met gentlemen like this character at various places throughout Louisiana, and really just kind of, any of the industry places that you could work. You're right. They nail this dynamic.
Yeah.
It's great. I
good.
love it.
And then we meet Gran. We go to Sookie's house. She lives with her grandmother. Gran, played by, renowned actor Lois Smith.
We love her.
And fun fact, she's reading
What is she reading?
In this scene, she's reading Dead Until Dark.
Get out of here.
The first Sookie Stackhouse book. Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
art imitating life.
Who could say? And, Sookie has a little sex dream about Bill.
Sookie does have a sex dream about
Well,
that.
I guess it doesn't end in a sex dream because it ends with him like, oh, I didn't say anything about sex.
No, but we do. Yeah. We get this moment where Bill is standing outside of her window, and immediately took me to Angel creeping outside
Edward
Buffy's.
Cullen, yeah.
And Jealous creeping outside of Buffy's window. But nonetheless, Sookie gets up, puts her little robe on, and scurries outside in her house shoes.
That took me out.
Bothered you.
I was like, ma'am, your slippers are going to get so dirty. Those are for your home. Sookie has her first really interaction with Jason at Gran's house. She's sunbathing. Again, respectfully, Anna Paquin. Woo. Woo.
Yeah.
Woo.
No notes.
Jason comes tearing up in a fucking pickup truck that a guy like Jason would actually drive.
Yeah, his truck is great.
And he's getting on to her about hurting the rat trays and...
Yeah, I heard you were causing trouble and that you met a vampire last. He's more concerned that she met a vampire
than his sister's safety.
And she's like, well, did they tell you that they tried to attack me and I had to defend myself? And they, did all that. He's like, oh, no, they didn't tell me that. Of course, Jason.
Yeah.
Because you weren't listening.
Because you're...
Yeah. Anyway, and then we get Gran. She's bringing out the laundry. It's just this perfect moment. Because if you watch the series, you know how quickly this is all about to fade.
Yeah.
Where you get to see this family before all fucking hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
You get to see Sookie, you see Jason, you get to see Gran just being this perfect little family. I love it.
Yeah. And we learn at that moment, they go inside. Maudette Pickens was found strangled to death in her apartment.
Gran has made food.
Looks like fried chicken.
Looks like
which
chicken fried steak or something along those lines.
Whatever
fried
it is,
chicken.
I want some.
It looks great.
Hungry and I want some fried something.
Served on the old plates. We got some flowers in the middle of the table. It's just like...
That's these sets.
I'm here for this.
Want to know if they did a sound stage. And I guess I could listen to, the actress that played Pam and the actress that played Jessica. They have a podcast about True Blood. Jessica. I know. Need a minute?
I do.
Yeah. Deborah Ann Wool and Kristen Bauer host podcast. So I'm sure they get into this. Would love to have them on the show one day if we ever get into True Blood and talk to them. Love Pam. Pam Swinfoot to Beaufoot. So good. Anyway, they just look like real houses. We both grew up around, like you said, you spent 10 years in South Central Louisiana. Where I grew up was very small farming community. This felt like somebody's old house.
Oh my gosh, I've been to. We had a farmhouse like this in a small town outside of Austin called Staples.
Oh yeah.
And I remember growing up going to this family farmhouse and sitting at a kitchen table like this and having, fried chicken and all the fixins, iced tea and some lemonade. It was
you
great.
have to have iced tea.
Of course.
It was not a Southern table. That was iced tea.
We always had sun tea.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Made outside.
My mom likes sun tea. Yeah. Anyway,
they nail the settings here.
They do.
We have this perfect moment with Gran and her two grandkids who have lost their parents, but Jason and Sookie are just kind of ribbing each other.
They're siblings.
Gran's asking about the vampires and what does that mean, and Jason knows way more than the family I guess expects him to know about what a fangbanger is and where you can find them, and whether or not there's security outside the door. Anyway, Jason has done his research. Yes.
And I think, is this the first time we get Bon Temps as a name drop? Because
perhaps
I think Gran says, God, a murder in Bon Temps.
I don't know. We'll get ready.
Buckle up.
Yeah.
So we learn, Jason, in addition to just being hot, works for the Renard Parish road crew.
Yeah, the shirtless road crew.
It's so great. So great. And he is just overseeing, not doing shit.
No, it's a hot day.
It's a hot day.
It's hot and sweaty.
He's sitting down while the workers are doing the work. We meet.
They working.
They're just shoveling gravel
just
aimlessly.
Pushing rocks around.
Yeah. But we meet Hoyt Fortenberry, who's Jason's BFF, and Renee Lanier, who is dating Arlene.
Renee, yes.
Renee, who he's a Cajun, you.
Oh, yeah. South of I-10 accent, full.
What did they want for Jason, yeah?
Thick, yeah.
And Jason, Lafayette works for the road crew as well, in addition to working at Merlotte's.
He does. Lafayette is a hardworking man.
You can find him in the phone book, as he says later.
You can.
Find him in the phone book. And Jason gets arrested by other recurring characters.
Played by
Sheriff Dearborn.
Who
I love.
A great actor who's been in Deadwood and so many other.
Yes.
A wonderful character actor.
William Sanderson.
Yes.
And Chris Bauer, who plays Andy Belfler.
What a character. What a character.
It's great. And they
love that last name too.
I know,
Belfler.
Beautiful flower, right, in French?
Beautiful.
Yeah. And they arrest Jason. Well, they don't arrest him. They're like, you need to come down to the station because.
Yeah. What was the nature of your relationship with
fucking
with
Jason?
Maudette? And he's like, we kind of barely knew each other. He's like, would you say you had an intimate relationship?
He's like, no. Well,
no, they're like, we've seen the video.
Tapes.
He's like, oh crap. Didn't know it was being recorded, but.
Yeah. And they're like, well, why didn't you say something? He's like, well, because I know she'd been murdered. So I didn't want anyone to think I was there.
He's just, he's so naive.
He's not the sharpest tool in the shed.
He's really not. Sabrina Carpenter nailed it with Jason.
She might have wrote this song about Jason. Sookie and Gran are chatting at Sookie's house.
Yeah.
Or at their house. And Gran asks Sookie if Bill would be interested in coming to speak at her meeting for the descendants of the glorious dead. Okay.
This is basically like the Daughters of the Republic.
But for the Confederacy.
Or the Confederacy, yeah.
And this comes from the books. So it's not like they made it up for the show, but this is a real thing. We get a great interaction with Tara and Lafayette, who we learn are cousins. We don't learn it now, but we will later on.
Yeah, but they got that dynamic, that family dynamic.
Yes.
You know, it's almost siblings, but it's even better because you can just be a bit more. You
can always be meaner.
You can be a bit meaner with your cousins than you can with your sibling, for sure.
And the way he's like, Hooker, what are you doing here? And he like always calls her Hooker. And she's like, I work here. He's like, oh, no, the fuck you do not. And there's a customer sitting at the bar. They're not paying him any attention. Lafayette's busy pouring vodka in his coffee cup. And they're just having the back and forth. And
their attitude.
It's so fun.
Both of these characters, the attitude, the sass that we get this entire series, but especially these first few seasons, is just chef's kiss.
It is.
I wish I had an ounce of his audacity.
Me too. He's great. And he is, I did learn this from a couple episodes I did listen to of Truest Blood, the podcast I was mentioning, hosted by Deborah Ann Wool and Kristen Bauer. Nelson Ellis was the only person on the cast allowed to ad-lib and to improvise.
Great.
Everybody else, Alan Ball, the creator, was like, follow the script, except for Nelson. He could kind of, he came in with a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
He said he based his character off of like black men on the DL who were gay, and 100%. his aunties and his cousins who would wear the scarf. I mean, so great. And I love his interaction, both of their interaction with the man at the bar, similar to a Bubba. He's wearing overalls, a cutoff t-shirt, comes and sits down, and Tara, basically says, my name's Tara, and isn't it fucked up that my mama named me after a plantation? And she's like, isn't that funny? And he starts laughing, and she's like, I don't think it's very fucking funny.
I miss that. No, she loves to set people up.
And she
sets everyone up.
So good.
And they walk into it, and then she gets fired up, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, it's great.
I wouldn't know where to start with her. And
then Lafayette really kind of emphasizes that he knows what's up with people. He's like, how you doing, baby? He's like, you could, you be my Santa Claus. And the guy doesn't look not interested. Yeah. And Lafayette tells him, you can see me in the phone book. It's great. Yeah, and his outfit is, he's wearing a fucking kilt, a belt in rhinestones that says Lafayette.
He'll wear anything.
Another schmedium shirt with like a loud print and a head scarf. It's like a head wrap that goes to his mid back. He's got makeup on.
Yeah, he does. And that's what I think was so unique about this character. We get to see an openly gay black man who's very flamboyant, but also full of fucking attitude and not willing to
He's not a shrinking violet.
Not going to take anyone's shit. And I love that. I love that sort of like power.
I do
that,
too.
You know, that agency that he's just claiming for his own in that character. I think it makes the show.
I do too. And I think it's in the next episode. Arlene sends a burger back because someone said they don't want an AIDS burger.
The burger coming back.
Yeah, he's like, you know, he just goes back and gives them the business. And he can fight.
Yeah.
He's just.
I love the show for not letting people get away with discrimination. They're gonna face it head on.
Yeah, and in our Pride Month episode, I wish I would have touched more on Lafayette because he was one of those queer characters that we don't always see. Someone who's flamboyant, proud of himself, full of attitude, but not like a shrinking Violet, not like a very, I don't know the right word, but I mean, Lafayette can throw down. He
confident,
can defend himself.
Yeah.
He will defend himself.
Sure of himself.
Yeah. And I mean, he gets into a lot of fights and whoops people's asses.
Yeah.
And I'm here for it.
I am too.
Also, who's here is Bill. Bill's back in Merlotte's. And Sookie is drawn to him like a moth to a flame.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like everything else around her just stops. And quite literally, the whole restaurant turns and is watching this entire interaction.
Yeah.
You know, and Bill's trying to make small talk with her. And it's like, so, you know, what's your name again?
Yeah.
You know, she's like, just plain Sookie.
What are you?
Or does he say just plain Sookie?
No, she does because he asks her again, what are you? Yeah.
What a line.
Then he asks if Sookie is, he's like, it's a unique name. Is it short for anything? Then he asks if he can call upon her.
May I call upon you sometime?
Oh, Bill.
She's like, you can do more than call upon me.
Call on me.
Camaraderie.
Come on. What?
Right. What?
Who said that?
Who said that? Probably Sabrina Carpenter.
She did, and we love her.
Yeah, it's so good. And she said, I have a favor to ask you after work.
Yeah.
And maybe you can meet me out back behind the bar.
It's a favor for my grand.
Yeah, if you're up for it. And he says, it would be my pleasure.
Ooh. Bill.
Okay, you're going to meet behind the bar for a favor if you're up for it.
I bet you Jason's been back there for a favor a time or two.
Yeah.
I think he gets caught when he's on V. Not this episode. But
no, when he's on V, he gets caught behind the dumpster with, what's her name?
I don't remember. Dawn?
I can't remember. I think so.
But
yeah.
Sam and Tara are not fucking pleased. Sam grabs Sookie by the arm.
Yeah, problematic moment here.
Not cool, bro.
Throws her into his office, closes the door behind them. Which,
yeah. Does Tara come in with him, or is she?
If you're having a meeting with your employee, you should keep the door open.
Yeah.
Okay.
HR would like a word, Mr. Merlotte.
Hold on, Mr. Merlotte. Hi, I'm HR.
Yeah, right. Surprise, it's me.
Yeah.
So, and he's like, you're basically berating her.
Sure.
And she starts crying.
Yeah.
And he like pulls her in his arms and she can hear his thoughts. He's like, I'm in love with you. I can't help it. I can't blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And you were like,
yeah,
sir.
I hate it.
Mm-mm.
You just grabbed her aggressively, yelled at her, and then you want to hug her.
Yeah. No,
classic textbook toxicity.
Yeah.
And then you're thinking the whole time, I just love you. I can't stand it. Blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then Tara comes in before they can address that.
Mm-hmm.
And she reads Tara's mind. And Tara's also like, what the
Tara's
fuck are
reading her
you
the riot
doing?
act,
Yeah. And she's like, stay out of my head. And she basically says, y'all stay out of my fucking business. Sookie doesn't say it like that, but she's like, hey, I'm a grown woman.
Right, yeah.
I can do what I want.
She does say that.
Yeah.
And she is. And good for her. Stand your ground. If you want to date a vampire, date a vampire.
It's your body, your choice.
You want to meet him out back after work?
For a little favor?
If he's up for it, for a little favor.
It would be his pleasure.
Go get your favor.
Get it, girl.
Get it.
And
taste the biscuit. Taste the goodness of the biscuit.
So I guess the night ends. Sookie's leaving. Sam meets her out front. He's like, you want me to wait for you till you get to your car? And she's like, go home, Sam. And he literally turns around and walks up to his trailer. It's right
3
there.
steps. Yeah, maybe 6 steps.
So,
yeah, it's right there.
And then she walks a little bit away and she gets attacked by the rat trays that she interrupted draining Bill earlier. And they're kicking her and she's like kicking her in the face and the stomach.
Bleeding,
she's bleeding. Cut to credits.
That's the pilot. Hot.
Yep. Episode 1, Strange Love.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Well,
I love this show. Maybe we'll add this to the extensive list of our rewatch episodes, but it just felt really great for spooky season for October to revisit this show that we love so much. So I'm glad we did that.
I am too. Thanks for suggesting that. I know that we have talked about having True Blood on our list of rewatch for Once More rewatch podcast, and maybe some year we'll get to that. But
coming soon in 2035.
Yeah. Gonna be rolling in here in my wheelchair.
I mean, hey, it's taken us what, a year to get through 2 seasons of Buffy?
I'm just saying, Jenny.
We'll have to.
Might want to get a move on. I'm not.
You're not getting any younger.
I'm not getting any younger. You might be.
That's funny. Well, in lieu of an unhinged section, because honestly, this whole show is unhinged in the best way possible. I think that's it.
I think that's all.
All right.
Thank you for listening to Once More Unhinged. These episodes come out every Wednesday, and be sure to check out our latest episode of Once More, a rewatch podcast, which comes out on Friday.
Yeah.
This is the season finale of season 2 of Once More, a rewatch podcast, and season 2 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, we've got a 2-part episode for you. We're going to cover Becoming Part 1 and Becoming Part 2.
That's right.
Yep. For more unhinged content, please follow us on social media. We are at Once More Podcast on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. And Unhinged is produced by us. I'm Jen Katz.
And I'm Ryan Sum.
I bid you farewell.
Sookie.